In January 1943, an 86-year-old man died alone in a room on the 33rd floor of the Hotel New Yorker. Within hours of his death, FBI agents and military intelligence swarmed the room. They seized his safes and locked down his papers, terrified he had finalized designs for a deadly particle beam weapon. The man they were investigating was Nikola Tesla. Decades earlier, he was the most famous inventor on Earth. His mind was defined by severe obsessive compulsions, blinding flashes of light in his vision, and hypersensitive hearing. This psychological torment fueled his genius. He could vividly hallucinate complex physics and construct massive rotating machines entirely in his imagination, without ever drawing a single physical blueprint. Tesla arrived in America with almost nothing and immediately clashed with the country's most prominent inventor, Thomas Edison. Edison relied on endless trial and error, pushing direct current electricity over short, inefficient distances. Tesla operated with visionary precision. Looking at this early induction motor, we see his breakthrough. By using multiple out-of-step alternating currents, he canceled out the internal friction and generated steady, continuous power. To prove his alternating current system was safe to a terrified public, Tesla stepped onto stages and let thousands of volts of electricity pass directly through his bare hands. Alternating current won that war. It lit up massive exhibitions like this one and electrified the world. But for Tesla, physical wires were entirely insufficient. The scientific principle that consumed the rest of his life was resonance. He realized that by syncing electrical vibrations, he could remove wires completely, sending both power and information directly through the air. We see him here sitting calmly inside his laboratory, while massive bolts of artificial lightning arc from his equipment. He had turned the Tesla coil into a precisely tuned transmitter and receiver of electromagnetic waves. He proposed a radical hypothesis. The entire Earth could act as a giant resonant cavity for these waves. If he pumped energy into the ground at the exact resonant frequency, he could connect the planet into a single cohesive network. To test this theory physically, he began constructing the Wardenclyffe Tower, a massive 187-foot lattice structure on Long Island. He called it the World System. It was designed to provide free wireless energy, global navigation, and even a television that could broadcast the very images and thoughts of one human mind to another. But his physics collided with business realities. His primary investor was J.P. Morgan. When investors realized they could not put a meter on free energy broadcast through the air, they withdrew their financial backing. The funding vanished. Construction stopped. The Great Tower was eventually dynamited and sold for scrap metal to pay off his hotel debts. The destruction of Wardenclyffe bankrupted him financially, and the failure to physically connect the world triggered a permanent collapse of his own psychological reality. He spent his remaining years trapped in crushing isolation. He lived entirely off debt, moving from one stark, cheap hotel room to another. His obsessive compulsions took over. He refused to shake hands with anyone, and he demanded stacks of exactly 24 sterilized napkins at every meal. His only routine was roaming the dark city streets at night to feed thousands of pigeons. Over time, his affection narrowed to a single pure white female pigeon. He believed they communicated telepathically, interpreting intense, blinding beams of light shooting from her eyes as direct messages. Tesla had failed to bridge the distance between humans with his machines, finding his only deep connection with this single bird. When she died, he told friends his work was finished, which brings us back to the 1943 hotel room raid. The government frantically seized his belongings, hunting for blueprints to physical weapons and particle beams. By focusing entirely on military applications, the FBI missed the point of his genius. They were looking for a physical weapon, ignoring his grand theories of connection. Today, the invisible frequencies he championed are the foundation of our modern infrastructure. Wi-Fi, smartphones, and the global power grid all rely on his discoveries. These tools are the literal realization of the wireless world he tried to construct at Wardenclyffe. Nikola Tesla died penniless, isolated, and unable to forge a human connection. Yet every time we turn on a device, we are living inside the invisible, connected world he imagined decades before anyone else.